Hi there, Lisa Arana here, and welcome to another Assemble This video. Today's cards are all about using the same stamps, the same layout, but having two different effects. It's a great way to build up your stash while keeping the cards looking original. I'm featuring 3 different Unity stamp kits. The first is using the amazing cake image from Blissful Birthday, the doily image from I Consider You Special, and then the Let's Eat Cake sentiment from So Glad You Were Born. I'm starting out with getting my images stamped out. I'm using my Misty to stamp the cake with Memento black ink because it's Copic friendly, and I'm going to be coloring this with Copic markers, so I know that ink's perfect for this. And I do love the dark black image that I get from this ink. So I'm stamping that once and then looks like I need to do it again, so I'll stamp that again. That's why I love my Misty. I can always do double stamping to make sure that I have just a perfect image every single time. Next, I'm doing the doily. I'm using Gina K ink this time in Sea Glass, and I just love this color. I also love Gina K inks. They just stamp beautifully. They create such a solid color without being blotchy. And the Misty, I had to do it a couple times just because I wanted a nice dark image. The Sea Glass is a little bit light, but I wanted it to be nice and vibrant. And then also I wanted my sentiment to match the doily, so I'm doing that in the same color, the Sea Glass again, and I'm inking that up just a couple times. It looks like I'm going to need to do this twice just so I get a nice, again, deep color from the Sea Glass, just because it is a little bit light in color, so I'm doing that stamping twice. And then when I was done, I'm die cutting out the doily, just using a circle die. Feeling a little bit lazy today. So I'm die cutting that just with a circle die. And like I mentioned before, I'm going to be using Copics to color in this cake image. I'll have all those listed below in my supply section. So I'm using this sketch as my inspiration today. The circle is the doily, the heart is the cake, and then the banner little sentiment areas for the sentiment. And to make each card different, I'm going to change up the backgrounds. I'm starting out by creating a bit of a pink area using some Gina K inks again and a blending tool. This one's Innocent Pink, and I'm just creating a bit of a cloud or like a circle background with that Innocent Pink. And then I'm going to lay over this knit pattern stencil, and I'm going to use a bit of a darker pink on top of that. The darker pink is Dusty Rose, and I'm going to do a bit of a pounce and twist motion to get it to go through that stencil. I don't really have to worry about being light-handed with this. I want it to create that darker image and to push it through that stencil. So I'm being a bit heavy-handed with it. So you don't have to be as careful when you're going through a stencil. So here I have all my images ready to go. I have that doily and the colored in cake image from the Copic markers. And I'm just going to glue that doily directly down onto my card front, just like that. And then trim the edge, just so I don't have anything hanging over the edge. I kind of like that cut off look. And then I'm playing with some fun burlap ribbon from Unity Stamp Company. I love this ribbon. It is a little bit thick, so I'm doing it in 2 parts. Just tying a bit of a bow in the first place, just kind of loosely, and making sure that knot's pretty tight. And fooling around with that just to make sure it looks good and it's laying well. And that's about the size that I want. And then I'm trimming off the tails there. Next, I'm going to put a bit of a border or a line of ribbon along the side there. So that looks good. First, I tried a bit of tape adhesive. It wasn't strong enough for this burlap ribbon, which is okay. Not a big deal. What I'm going to do is grab a bit of liquid adhesive next. I'm using some Tombow mono adhesive. any kind of a liquid adhesive is a bit stronger than that tape adhesive, and I'm just going to lay that down and let it sit there for a minute to really get a good grab, and that will really glue it down to the card. At this point you could trim off the end. I decided to go ahead and add a little bit more liquid glue and then wrap it around the end. I just didn't want that stark edge of a ribbon. I don't know why. Either way would have been fine. So now I'm just going to pop up that cake image and use some foam adhesive over that and just kind of fool it around with the placement with that ribbon. My sentiment I cut into a banner, and I'm going to notch out the end here. Really simple. And then kind of play around with the placement, trim it off, add a bit of foam adhesive again, and then tuck that in behind the cake image just to kind of follow the sketch that I had in mind. And that really finishes everything off, just the balance of the sketch. And last, just to add a little bit of sparkle and movement to the card, I'm adding some sequins in. I'm using some glossy accents because it's one of my favorite adhesives for this, and then a rhinestone pencil just to pick those sequins up. Makes it super easy. So here we have the first card with that really interesting background of 2 colors of pink and that bit of stencil to just really add an interest of pattern. And then we have the cake and the doily and the sentiment and the bow, which we're going to use again in our second card. So for the second card, I decided to switch up the background just by using pattern paper. I covered my card front in that yellow paper, and then I layered up some pattern paper in die cut rectangles just to create a bit of interest like that. But again, that circular doily and cake and banner and bow is the same as the first one. So it's really interesting how you can use a sketch like this to really make 2 different cards, very similar but very different. And it's a great way to add some interest to your stash and to make sure each card is original if that's important to you. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'll have all the supplies listed below. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you liked it. Plus, if you have any questions or a sweet comment, post below. Thanks for watching, you guys. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time.